Keisha White, and I am the founder and creative director of White House Branding Studio. We help companies create brands that make a statement and that help them attract more of their ideal clients. So, if you're interested in getting some information on working together, make sure you click the link in the description with this video, and you can get details on my design process. You can see some of the past client work, and then you can also schedule a free strategy session to get started. So, today I'm going to talk about strategies for refreshing and revitalizing your brand. And this is super important because oftentimes companies tend to get branding or websites done in the past. Maybe it was a few years ago when the business was just getting off the ground, or maybe it was when the business was in a different phase. And then things tend to change over time, and then there ends up becoming a need for a business to get a refresh or a rebrand to get a new look that's going to help them get to where their business is going in the future. So I wanted to cover first a few signs that show that you need a brand refresh. And then I'm going to cover the 4 steps, excuse me, not four, 3 steps for doing a new brand refresh. So the things that show that you need a brand refresh. So that's where you need to start, because you may be thinking like, is this right for me? Is it right for my company? So there's a few signs to typically if a refresh or rebrand is right for you. And so the first sign is that if it's an out of date brand or if it's not mobile friendly, this is something that I tend to see a lot with the service based businesses, especially a lot of consulting firms. They tend to have a lot of older websites that they got done years ago. A lot of like service based businesses are doing this, and maybe it served its purpose a few years ago. But now in 2023, the websites look very out of date. Some of them aren't even mobile friendly, and they don't even do what they're supposed to do on mobile. And it ends up making the business look a little bit less professional when they have a business that is out of date like that, that has an older type of look to it, or just an outdated look. And then it could also be a little misleading for people, because sometimes when people see an out of date website or brand, they may start to think that a business is not really present now. Like they may think that they're not in business anymore. So you don't want to mislead anybody to make them think that your business is not as professional or is not in business anymore. It could also make people think that the business maybe is using out of date strategies, like maybe it's a little too old school or too out of touch with what's going on in 2023. So some of the consequences of holding on to those out of date websites are definitely just giving off the wrong perception to your target clients. So if you're kind of taking a look at your brand and your website and you're like, this definitely looks like the early 2000s, or it looks like 1995, then it is definitely time for you to get a refresh for your brand. And a second sign that it's time to get a refresh for your brand is if your offers in your business have changed significantly. So this is something that I get a lot with some of the clients that I've worked with. They may start their business in one area, and then maybe they're making a shift or a pivot to do something different. So typically when people are doing those shifts to go from one offering to another, especially when it's a significant shift, like if they're going from maybe a service-based business to becoming a coaching business, maybe they're going from coaching to service-based, maybe they're going from B2C, like maybe they were a career coach and now they're shifting over to being a consultant, so they're going from B2C to B2B. So if there's like a significant shift in your services to where you're doing something completely different, then you do tend to need a rebrand when that is going on, because a lot of times the initial branding and website that you had created, it was created to serve the first purpose that you were doing, the first thing that you were doing in your business. And so for the thing that you're shifting, that you're changing over to doing, it may not be serving the purpose there on that side. So you need something that's going to be in alignment with where you are right now, and that's going to follow you along with your future vision for your company. And so the third thing that's an indicator that you may need a brand refresh is if your target audience has significantly changed as well. So this kind of goes along with number 2 a little bit, but this one is more so like if you're still maybe you're still offering the same services, but maybe you're going to offer it to a completely different target audience or target group of people, then you definitely could use a brand refresh, because you want to make sure your current brand is going to appeal to your target audience. Because like I kind of mentioned in the first point, when your brand is giving off the wrong message and it's not appealing to the right people, it can be working against you and all the work that you could be doing in your marketing. Yes, sure, it could be getting you more visible, but then once those new people get over to your website, they may be kind of turned away thinking that they're in the wrong place or your service is not for them, if your branding and your website was done for a different target audience. So if you're shifting to target a different group of people, different target clientele, then you probably definitely could benefit from a brand refresh. And then the final sign that you could benefit from a brand refresh is if your brand is out of alignment. So sometimes companies just get a certain type of branding done in the beginning, and maybe they had one vision for their brand, or maybe they had a certain thing in mind for what they wanted their business to represent in the world. And maybe over time, maybe that vision has simply changed. Maybe what you really wanted to represent for your company, maybe it's different now. Like now that you have some skin in the game and some more experience, you're kind of thinking like, okay, I want my brand to represent this and not that, or I want the look and feel for my business to be this and not that. And so sometimes things are just out of alignment when it comes to your visuals, and you just want to bring your brand up to date with where your business is now and what you want the brand to represent now. So that's something. I actually have a client now. She actually had a pretty decent branding, but she wants to bring it up to date to how she wants to present herself as a consulting firm now. So she wants to do a rebrand to just have a completely different, more elevated image. So you may find that you're in that spot where you just want a more elevated image and you want your brand to be in alignment and in representation with where you are now in your business. And so the benefit of going through a rebrand or a refresh for your brand is that you are going to position yourself as a company that's going to attract more of your ideal clients. Because at the end of the day, the branding and the marketing are always working hand in hand. And as I always say, the marketing is the work that you're going to do to get yourself more visible, to spread the awareness about what you do. But then it's the branding and the website that kind of loops people in, like kind of that gets them on the hook. And so if that branding and that website is not in alignment properly, is not representing the right things, then you're not going to be positioned to attract the amount of clients that you want. And so when you do that brand refresh, then that's going to help you position the business properly. So this way you're going to be giving off the right message. It's not confusing anyone. Your target clients can tell that your services were created just for them and they feel drawn into it. And this is going to make your marketing much more effective. And so there are 3 key steps to doing a rebrand. And so the first step is to first define what are the visions and the goals for your business. And then you want to make sure the brand is going to be in alignment with your vision and your goals. So oftentimes when we do this with clients, we talk in the kickoff strategy sessions, whether they do it with me or with the copywriter, they did copywriting. We talk all about like, what are you trying to do? Who are you trying to appeal to in the future? We've had clients where maybe they were positioning themselves as this one type of service provider, and maybe they want to add on another service. So we have to make sure the new brand is going to encompass both. And sometimes they're pivoting and shifting the target audience, like I mentioned. So you need to have these conversations, whether it's within your company or with a design expert that you're working with, and have the conversations about what are you trying to do in your business? Where are you trying to go? What service offerings are you going to have? Who are your target clients? And get extremely, extremely clear on that. And then you also want to be clear on what you want your business to represent. Do you want to be known as one of the innovative service providers, or do you want an image that feels very elegant and sophisticated? Or do you want to be known as the provider that can bring some wit and like some humor to the table when you present to people? So get clear on how you want your brand to show up with like that brand personality piece as well. And this piece is the foundation for your rebrand, because all this information is going to determine what design elements are going to be selected for you. It's going to determine the messaging and how would a copywriter write about what you do, or if you're writing your copy in-house, it'll determine how do you write your own copy. So you want to make sure you're clear on the overall vision for your business, and then you can kind of craft that plan for like, okay, this is how my brand is going to align with my business vision and how it's going to support the overall vision for my business. Because if you don't get clear on this first, you could still end up with that out of alignment brand because you're just kind of choosing colors and pictures and fonts and stuff on a whim. And you don't want to choose anything on a whim. It all should be done intentionally with the overall business strategy and business vision in mind. So the first step is to be clear on that brand vision, brand goals. What are your business goals? How do you want your business to show up with like that kind of brand personality? And just gain clarity on all of that, write that all out. And then you craft everything else around that stuff. And so the second step is to do a little bit of audience and market research. So this is us. So we always like to do a little bit of research on like, okay, who are their top competitors? What's unique about our clients versus the competitors? What are our clients going to do better than the competitors, better than their competitors? And so we like to provide these insights to the clients so they can kind of see what's going to help them stand out. And it's also helpful for us because as I make design decisions, and even the copywriter, as they decide to make certain decisions in writing your website copy, this way they can actually highlight those differentiators and those areas of difference that are really going to set you apart in your industry. So you want to make sure you're kind of familiar with like what is going on in your market, what are the competitors doing, what's the point of parity or that difference for you that's going to make you stand out. And then make sure as you're going through your brand, refreshing your rebrand, you really highlight those things, whether you highlight it in your website copy or even in the way your website shows up visually. You can really, really powerfully differentiate yourself as you're going through a brand refresh when you take a little bit of time to do that research and you figure out what's unique about you versus your competitors. And then the final step is to just implement it all and then to bring it all together in real life. So next, the final thing, when you're armed with your vision for your brand and your business, you're armed with that market research and you know what's unique about you, then it's time to present it all. Well, to start doing the preparation work to get it ready to present to the world. So the first piece is to refresh your visual identity. That includes your logo design, your color palette, even the overall aesthetic of your business and brand, which could be your brand's mood board. And if you're not familiar with the term mood board, that's just essentially it's just a collage, like a little square collage of images that are all put together to determine like that overall look and feel for your business. So if you're going a different direction, that mood board can totally change. And then all the other elements of your brand identity in like a brand style guide that also includes the font pairing, maybe an accent pattern if that's appropriate for your brand. So the first piece is just refreshing the entire visual aspect. So you want to make sure everything that you select going forward is in alignment. The colors make sense, the font pairings make sense, the photography makes sense, and you have a completely new brand identity that you can use. And these brand identity guidelines, these are what I use as a designer to design your website. So I use all of those elements from the brand identity style guide to create a beautiful, unique website design. You and your marketing team or marketing manager will be able to use it to brand any of your graphics for like a social media. They'll be able to use it to brand proposals and other documents. They'll be able to use it to brand your PowerPoint slides. So everything that you create will have a beautiful, new, cohesive look and feel, like everything that you create for marketing for your business when you have that new, refreshed brand style guide. And then the second piece is to refresh your brand's messaging. So you want to make sure you have messaging that's in alignment. So this could be done with a copywriter. Oftentimes with clients, when they work with me, if they do Want to add on the professional copywriting piece. The copywriter is definitely going to help them a lot in this area because they're going to write all of your website copy for you. And of course, website copy translates over to being used like on other documents, whether you're using it in emails or you're using it to put in proposal documentation or all of that. So they are going to help you get clarity on like, okay, what is your tone of voice that you're trying to use with your brand? What points do they really need to emphasize when it comes to what makes you unique? How can they bring out your brand personality in the copywriting? How can they really write well about the compelling benefits of what you do? And so they're going to do what you need to make sure the messaging is refreshed too. So refreshing the visual piece and the messaging are the top two pieces to bring your brand refresh or your rebrand to life. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once you have those things, then it's time to announce your rebrand to the world and to your audience. Sometimes companies will do, well, oftentimes they end up doing like a promotional email to their email list to announce to everyone like, hey, we just rebranded, check out our new brand. And that always gets a lot of buzz and excitement from like your email list. Sometimes companies, they will talk about it on social media, and then they'll post on social media all about how they have a new refreshed brand. And then they may even do like a PR announcement. Sometimes I see companies do that, like if they want to do a whole PR campaign about how they have a new brand. And then you could also even get some buzz and excitement going before. Sometimes people will do like a coming soon page to kind of collect a few leads before, like while the website is getting worked on. And then they may even post on social media kind of to get some buzz, like our new brand is coming soon, stay tuned, to kind of get people energized and kind of to put it out there, to put the feeders out there to let people know that the brand is going to be refreshed soon. And then once the refreshed brand is out there, they are ready to do like that ultimate announcement to announce to everybody like, hey, it's done, it's here. Check out our new rebrand. So that is pretty much it when it comes to a brand refresh. Again, there's 4 signs that you may need a brand refresh. The first sign is that your brand is out of date, or maybe it's not even mobile friendly. Like if your website looks really antiquated or just very like early 2000s, you got it done a long time ago. It's not even modern and up to date anymore. It's making your business look very like you're behind the times, or like maybe you're not even in business anymore, then you definitely could use a brand refresh or rebrand. And then the second sign is if your offers have changed significantly. So like if you're offering completely different services and you need a rebrand to make sure your brand and your website are in alignment with your current services, then you definitely could benefit from a rebrand. And then the third sign is if your target audience is changing. So like if you're selling to a completely different target audience, a different group of people, then you definitely need a rebrand to make sure your brand is going to be appealing to and drawing in the people who you are trying to sell to. And then the fourth sign is if your brand is just completely out of alignment. Like if whatever you are doing to brand and market yourself, you just don't feel it anymore. It's not in alignment with how you want to present your business to the world. Then it's time for a rebrand because you want to make sure things are on par and you're actually proud of your brand, because when you're proud of it, you're much more likely to do your marketing and to put yourself in the opportunities that you want and to pitch yourself and to put yourself out there. You're much more likely to do those things when you actually feel proud of your brand. And then once you go through, and then to recap, I guess the 3 steps. The first step is to define your business's vision and your goals, to make sure that stuff is clear first, because you need that as your foundation for everything else. And then the second step is to do a bit of market research to make sure you're clear on like what are your competitors are doing. Do a little bit of audience research too on what are your target clients looking for, what are their needs. And then the final step is to bring everything to life. So to use that information from your brand and your business's vision and the research, use that information to revitalize your brand identity. So this can be done by getting completely new brand style guidelines, which would include new color palette, new logo design, new font pairings, just everything that goes with the visuals of your brand, completely refreshing it and starting from scratch. So that way your brand image is going to be in alignment with the where your business is going moving forward. And then also refresh your messaging. So making sure your messaging and how you're writing about your business is in alignment. So the tone of voice, making sure that's done properly. Everything you write for marketing messages is done well, and all of that. And then once you are going through these steps, it definitely benefits your business because it's going to be positioning you in the proper way to make sure you're positioned to attract the right types of clients and the right types of opportunities that you want. Because again, your brand is always giving off a message to people subconsciously. So you may not realize it, but people are jumping to conclusions based on how we present ourselves as businesses. And so when you want the right clients to get the right message about you, you have to be very, very intentional about how you craft your brand and how you put the business out there to make sure that it is going to give off the right message. And so this is going to help your marketing to be more effective, and it's going to draw in more of your target ideal clients. So hopefully that was helpful. If you're considering a rebrand, hopefully that gave you some clarity on whether or not you could benefit from it, and then what the steps involve and how you can go about it. And if you want to work together for a rebrand for your company, make sure you click the link in the description with this video, and you can get all the details on the step-by-step design process that we take clients through. You can see some examples of some rebrands that I've done for clients before. I have full case studies on the website that show the step-by-step process and some before and after. So you get to see how some other clients benefited from a rebrand. So yeah, and then if you want to chat about working together, you can schedule a free strategy session on the website as well. And so yeah, so thank you so much for checking out the video. If any questions come up, feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn, or you can email me. My email address is on my website in the footer. So yeah, so thanks so much for checking out the video. Hopefully this was helpful, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.